Hi all, how are you doing? Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. All right, so this Best Wallet account is really taking the biscuit. 4 days ago, it released this tweet saying, "What does DYOR mean in crypto?" Okay, obviously it means do your own research. Okay, and basically what they're saying here is, they're saying to people, be careful out there. There's scams out. Make sure you read up on it and do research before buying any tokens and all that kind of thing. Yet Best Wallet promotes scam after scam after scam. All right. And the people behind Best Wallet are the scammers that are producing these pre-sale scams that Best Wallet are helping to promote. So what they're doing here is trying to convince people because surely no scammers would release a tweet like this to say beware of scams. And this is a very common uh, thing for scammers to actually do. They pretend they're on your side. They they try to pretend. Okay, they pretend, should I say, not try to pretend. They pretend to look after your interests by releasing, articles like this, okay, to put you on their side, all right, to have faith in them because what they appear to be saying is, kind of a good thing to say. None of what they're saying here is a bad thing to say, okay, but it's, they're just trying to catch people out basically and think, oh, well, what's this Best Wallet all about then? If they're saying this, then obviously they're good people, okay? The people behind this are solid people if they're looking after our interests. But the bottom line is it's just a trap. It's a trap, okay? Um, yeah, so it's just a trap to convince people who are newbies into thinking that Best Wallet is a good wallet and the products that they're promoting are solid projects. Okay. But the truth of the matter is they just promote um, scam coin after scam coin. Each pre-sale that they promote is clearly a scam. Um, so avoid these like the plague. Okay. And be very careful of anyone uh, saying positive things and giving you advice because this is what they do quite often. They'll give you a few seeds, they'll give you a few nuggets of wisdom, okay, to make you trust them, okay. And often, the sites that these guys own, things like Crypto News, they'll do articles which are decently written articles and maybe say things like, "Oh, be careful of this. This is likely to be a scam." Okay, or it's got some negative connotations to the project, or whatever. And so then you get trust in them, and then what they can do is once you trust them, they can write another article saying how great this other project is, and then because you've seen them write an article uh, giving red flags on various things, then you feel that you can then trust them on this new project, okay, which might be a complete and utter scam, okay, and that's a problem with certain um, people giving you advice, basically. I could do the same thing. I've done so many projects. You'd have to be careful of what I'm saying still. Anything that I say, you still got to think about it. I could do like 100 videos, okay? And I've done loads of videos, and I could suddenly just trap you, okay? Because wow, this John guy, he's always doing videos, he's always calling everything out. What happens if I suddenly did a video that was, um, oh, this is a great project. You might then not do your own research. Okay. You might think, oh, this John guy, he's solid. He, he always calls it. Okay. Uh, and I do. All right. Okay. I always call it how I see it. But what happens if I get something wrong, or if I suddenly go down the dark side and suddenly promote a project which I know is garbage? Okay, because I could potentially do that. Let's say if somebody dangled a huge brown bag underneath me that would get me out of me all my any financial problems that I've got and just set me up for life. Then maybe would I take that brown paper bag, okay, and throw you all under the bus? I'd like to think I wouldn't do that, but you don't know, do you? Okay, and that's the thing. So you've got to be careful about these white knight tweets and white knight videos, okay? Um, because they could be up to no good, but these guys are definitely up to no good, okay? Um, and I don't think I'm ever going to throw you under the bus because I don't think I could ever live with myself, okay? If you know, I couldn't do it, all right? That's personally speaking. But still, you shouldn't trust anybody. Okay, you shouldn't trust anybody. It looks like, looking at all these so-called experts and stuff, they always seem to be pushing an agenda. All right. Um, if they bought a token, they'll start pushing that. Okay. They can't help themselves. Okay. Now I've decided that the only thing I'm gonna push it's possible I may talk about other projects, okay, in a positive light. Um, or I might just sort of say, this is what I'm doing, but you shouldn't do it or don't do it. Um, but the only thing I'm going to push personally is Bitcoin. All right. Now I do hold Bitcoin, but I only think I think it's the only project which I have trust in because the bottom line is it's not really it's decentralized and no one entity is kind of in charge of it. All right, so people like Michael Saylor, you could argue that he owns a lot more than other people, and therefore it starts to become a little bit more centralized when one person holds a big bag of it. All right, they can start manipulating it and that kind of thing. Anyway, I feel like I've gone off track somewhat here. I guess that conversation is for another day. But what I'm saying is, just be careful of these white knights who put out articles which all look decent, all look rosy, and all look very solid articles, all look very meaningful and positive, and giving you positive information that make you trust them, okay, or give extra trust in them. And the reality is that these are bad guys. Okay, these are the bad guys to avoid. All right. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do the usual stuff, and have a good night.